Hi everyone. So today I would like to share regarding voice examination. How you want to examine the patient voice. Number one is you need to ask the patient to sit properly. What do sit properly means? Means that the patient have to have a good posture. If the patient's foot is overlap, dia duduk kaki dia di atas kaki yang lain. So you ask the patient to put both leg down on the floor. Okay, why? Because you want the patients to have the lung to be open, not slouching. The patient have to sit upright, normal posture, all foot to down. If the patients put the hands on the chair, also ask the patients to put the hands on the lap. So a good posture is also a prerequisite for a good projection of the voice. So patients sit in a comfortable position. Then you want to hear the patient's voice. In voice examination and speech examination, voice examination, they have passage. The rainbow passage, the passage in Malay. So you can ask the patient to read that passage. In reading of that passage, one is you need to know that it's not only we want to hear the patient's voice, but we also want to see the articulations and how the patient's voice with different pronunciation of certain words. But for a brief examinations of the patient's voice, you want to know about the quality of the patient's voice. What I usually do is just the patients to tell me regarding their names, their address, what they do today, how they feel. So they are more relaxed. They know what they want to say. So it's not something that is dibuat-buat. So it's very natural to the patients. My name is, I live at, today I eat, this morning what do I do, how do I feel after the operation, what do I expect, I would like to thank. It's natural. I want that kind of natural situations when I grossly want to examine my patient's voice. Okay, so you want to hear the quality of the patient. So you have this GRBAS, right, in your list that you want to know the grade, roughness, the breathiness, asthenia and strain. Asthenia a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky. I've asked John Rubin, what do you mean by asthenia? What do you mean by asthenia? And he just laughed. He said that you know by experience. So I did with a voice specialist, I didn't have a good answer. What is asthenia means? So strain is when you want to project the voice and you need to use extra effort. So patient have to strain. You hear that strain, that the patients really have the pressure, the strain in the voice, in the neck to project the voice. Asthenia, some books explain it as how the patients want to project the voice. The patients unable to project the voice. So that is the difficulty of the projection of the voice is asthenia. How to see in the grabas? It's not. It's come with experience. Okay. Breathiness. Breathiness is how much you want to know about the glottal closure. Breathiness is when the air leak. There is a glottal gap. Then you hear there is air leak. So that is breathiness, when you hear that the voice is not that. So you hear the air leak coming out. So that is breathiness. Sometimes it's very subtle, So you really have to hear. For me, if if between 1 and 2, then for me, because it's come with experience, I didn't penalize much, unless patient have breathiness and you say that the patient is normal. So everyone says it's breathiness, it's very clear, it's very breathiness, and then you say it is normal. So that is not good. Okay, roughness is what we tell about. Usually we hoarseness, roughness, hoarseness. So roughness is about how the voice is very, very rough. There is the jitter, the shimmer, the frequency of the voice is very, very higher. When you hear the voice, it's very rough voice. The voice quality is not as smooth. It's not clear. It is very bumpy. There's lots of noise. So that is roughness. So the component of the quality of the voice is not only roughness. It's not only roughness. So breathiness is hoarseness. Patient have asthenia is hoarseness. Patient have strain is also hoarseness. So it's not only the roughness is the component of hoarseness. And then the grade. The grade is we take which part, which component that is the highest. If it's 3, then we take grade 3. Means that the quality of the patient's voice is very, very bad. Which one is the worst component? Okay, so that's Graber score. Regarding you want to do maximum phonation time, what you want to do is you want the patients to say E. In a voice research, usually they do 3 times. 3 times maximum phonation. So usually in voice research, the patient say because E is you need to use more muscles in the intrinsic muscles of the larynx to say E. You feel that it's more relaxed, so it's more comfortable to the patients. In voice research also, we use to take sample for voice. So you say at the comfortable loudness, comfortable, the patient is comfortable. So we ask the patient to do it 3 times. So we want the patients to be relaxed and able to say as long as the patients can do. So usually 3 times, but in exam usually 1 time is enough. You just ask the patient to say count 1 to 10. It depends. Sometimes it's easier that you say that you want the patients to count 1 to 10 in a single breath, and you want to know how much the patients can count. That is also a good practice. But sometimes, because we want to see the same thing, how much the lung reserve able to project the sound, and how much the air leak that the voice is projected. As we all know, the physiology of the voice, that when we project the voice, it's not only at the vocal cord level. If the vocal cord able to close a good glottal closure, then the patient will have a longer maximum phonation time. If the patient have a glottal gap, that is air leak, so the patient have smaller or reduce the maximum phonation time. But you need to remember also, it's not only at the level of the larynx. You need to remember that the source of the sounds come from the lung, from the lung. That's why we want the patients to be relaxed, to expand the lung, because we want that normal lung capacity that the patient is projected out to you. So when the patient say you only not like don't sing about the vocal cord level, you're also seeing the lung. How to separate these two that some of the speech language pathologists do Z ratio. The Z ratio is and Z. So when the patient does, there is a voiceless sound. Voiceless sounds means we diminish, we cut the function of the larynx to produce the sound that coming out from the lung. Then we do the ratio. So is there is a sound coming out that is produced from the vocal cord. So these are the things that we do to isolate. But in ENT we rarely do this. We just want to know roughly how much is the maximum phonation time, so we can predict what is there, what is the pathology that the patients have. Okay, that's about the maximum phonation time. Okay, about cough. When you want to ask the patients to cough, you need to correlate with your patient's quality of the patient's voice and also the patient's maximum phonation time. If the patient is breathy, if the maximum phonation time is very low, 3 seconds, and you ask the patients to cough. Why you ask the patients to cough? Because you want to see the glottal competency, if the glottic able to close and eject the cough out. So we want the vocal cord to close. If the patient can cough, patient cannot cough, mean that the patients cannot adduct the vocal cord. So every examination you want to do, you need to correlate with other examination, so that we know that you really understand, and we know that what you want to elicit with that examination. Okay. What else? I think that's all about the voice, the quality of the voice, the maximum phonation time, and the cough. That's the 3 that we do in a voice examination. Okay, thank you.